All right, buddy, Harry here. So, we're going to talk about a fun one. So, I know I've been doing a lot of random tangents about like G.I. Joe's, video games, and all this kind of stuff. But the one I want to talk about today is a very specific manga artist. It's actually this guy, Ken Akamatsu. He is the creator of Negima. He's the creator of Love Hina. Love Hina is where he became famous. He also did a couple of other ones. Like I think one was like AI Love and something else. Well, the reason why I want to bring this up is that he is a member of Japanese Congress now. He is 55 years old, I think. And he was elected to the Japanese Congress. And he's a congressman. He's been there for a couple of years, just a few years. And the reason why he rose to fame is that he started to lobby their Congress for creator rights when it came to manga and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much artistic rights and all that. Because manga is a massive industry. I don't know if you've ever walked into Barnes & Nobles, but there's a lot of manga being exported right now. Like a lot. It's way better than what it was in the 90s and 2000s because we used to have like one little itty bitty shelf or one little stack, but now it's all over the place. Now there's a lot of big wigs back in it. So you got Seven Seas, you have Kodansha, you have Viz Media, which is a branch off of Bandai, I believe. It's like you got all these different companies. Like back in the day, there's a few companies. Now there's a bunch of companies. So the reason why I'm bringing them up is that you'll see that this logo is on his Love Hina works. It is Tokyo Pop. As a matter of fact, nope, I just got two old ones. So Tokyo Pop went out a couple years ago under bankruptcy, and Love Hina, I do not believe Love Hina really came back out of that because it was really famous, and it's an older manga, so they never really brought it back. And of course, Negima, kind of sort of the same. Love Hina was 12 issues, Negima was 38 issues, I believe, and few hit or miss stuff here and there after that. And now he's in Congress. So let me tell you what this man's done. So before he became a congressman, he lobbied against a law that was very specific and it was very broad. And this law happened in the United States, and they made a revision to it. So it was a child pornography law. And the modifications they made to it was the exclusion of comics, animation, art. That's what it was. And the reasoning why is these laws are serious, they're retroactive, and they would have affected everything from like Dragon Ball all the way back. All the way back. And the law was pretty much designed to treat drawn material like real photograph. That's literally what the whole purpose of the law was to bridge that gap and to take it more serious. Well, he lobbied against the law in Japan, and the reasoning why is that law would have specifically affected the lolicon population, which is a subsect of the hentai population for the most part. And it was a very serious thing that he was lobbying against, and he was talking about creator rights and all this kind of stuff. But in a way, it's good and bad. It's good because it does protect artistic freedom, and it does retroactively protect things that are not porn, like Dragon Ball, when Goku is running around naked and all that kind of stuff. It protects that kind of stuff. But on the other end, it actually stops the serious stuff from being looked at, which is what cause and effect ended up happening in his situation, which is very, very annoying in a sense because, yeah, they probably should crack down on that, and it is a very serious thing going on over there because it's happening all over the world because of them. But on the other end, it's kind of annoying because he doesn't seem to be determined to revisit this concept in any way or form. So besides his defense of that, which is obviously a black stain, but besides his defense of that, he has been very pro artistic freedom. He's been very anti-corporation is the best way I can explain it, because there was a serious law that they were going to pass that was going to really reinforce the copyrights, kind of like what they have in the United States. The United States if you would draw like, let's take a random thing out of here for, let's say you draw Moana, okay? And you draw Moana just like on the TV screen, looks just like her, and you throw it into some random advertisement. You could be sued. You can be sued. And matter of fact, Disney's very aggressive with their advertising practices in their defense of their IPs. And if you make your own comic books about Moana, they'll probably sue you. They'll send you a cease and desist at the very least. And Disney's done this everything from people playing movies in the classroom to people making comic books to all that. So they were trying to pass a similar law in Japan that would make it mirrored to the US. But this law would have single-handedly dismantled the doujin scene. Now, if you know what doujins are fan comics of other comics, or they're fan comics. It's pretty much amateur comics. And a lot of the very famous artists like Ken Akamatsu, Masamune Shiro, Otomo, all of these guys did that because they look at that as like a practice to becoming a professional. And professional companies like Kodansha, they look for those kind of people and they pick and choose who they want to make a series. So they were trying to do that. They were trying to make the law aggressive to where the doujin scene would have been shut down. And then Ken Akamatsu lobbied to have that stopped. So he got elected on a pro-artistic rights thing. Like, that's literally what his entire platform was that he is pro-rights to the creator. And the companies, not so much. And it's really interesting to see, like, his stuff play out. Like, the Lolicune thing was one thing, but he's very pro-artistic freedom. And it's really interesting to see that the guy that made this do that. And just for a fun fact, if you ever read Love Hina, it is about this underdog guy who ends up meeting this girl that's way out of his league, and he slowly wins her over. That's like the whole concept of the story. And it's a comedy, so it's really funny. And in real life, he ended up marrying a lady who was a professional model. So I'm over here like, the comic was before this happened. It's before this happened. So I'm like, how did he do that? How did he do that? How? He ended up marrying a professional model, just like in his comic book. Yeah. Ken Akamatsu is a really interesting person if you ever want to look into him. His politics are pretty straightforward. And he is part of the, I think the Democratic Liberal Party in Japan, I think is what it is. But he's a really interesting person to look into. And also look into the law that he fought to pass, because that law is the reason why the creator of Rurouni Kenshin only got like 5 years in jail for having actual child pornography in his actual house. Yeah, but Rurouni Kenshin's gonna be a different story for a different day. All right, buddy. Harry, peace. Don't forget to check out Love Hina, but definitely look into Ken Akamatsu. He's one of the more interesting characters that is a Japanese manga artist. All right, buddy. Peace.